Hi, Ellen. Thanks for joining us on our very first episode of whatever this is called.
We haven't decided what we're calling this yet, but that's okay.
Oh, first episode. I'm so honored.
Yeah, we're thrilled to
Exciting.
have you. Yeah. Would you tell our viewers and our listeners, hey, maybe we'll have listeners too.
Whatever you say.
You introduce yourself to us.
Sure. So my name is Ellen March. I am the director of content for Sulky of America. I've been in the sewing industry for almost 20 years now. And I've done it all.
Cool. Oh, that's great because we reached out to you at Sulky because we want to learn it all. We have only ever used the Sulky stick and stitch product, and we were realizing that that's only like just scratching the surface of all the really cool products that you guys offer. And so we reached out to you to see if we could learn from you. And we need our third camera to introduce themselves. This is the box that Ellen sent us, and it's got some goodies in it. So we are going to open that up, and Ellen's going to give us a tour of the different products that Sulky carries that might be good for us as embroiderers and as sewists. And you do both, right?
Yes. So in a nutshell, Sulky manufactures threads and stabilizers. And the company was really born out of really a need for home sewers to be able to do embroidery on their home machines. Because back in the day, you had to use an industrial machine, a multi-needle machine, or even just farm out embroidery. So in order to do it at home, you needed stabilizers, which were not readily available in the marketplace, and really pretty threads. So that's kind of one of the many things I like about Sulky is it really, answered a need from a crafter's perspective. And they continue to make sure that their products are of the utmost quality and are continuing to serve those needs. So I think you will like the compilation of items that I sent to you for various sewing applications.
Yeah, and then our plan is to take all these fun goodies and tools in there, and then not tools, but yeah, goodies that are in there, and create some projects out of them.
Yes.
Which will be a lot of fun
For sure. Give them a test drive and see. I'm sure we'll be thrilled with them.
Yes.
Yes, I put in some surprises in there too, so we can talk
Cool.
about those as
Cool.
you find them.
Great.
All right. Let's see what we got here.
Ooh.
Oh,
I see color.
lots of color, lots of cool things. Let's start with the threads. It looks like there's a whole bunch of fun threads in here.
Okay, and we were just talking about threads before, so
Yeah.
that's good.
Yes, I couldn't really decide, so I just sent you a lot of thread.
Cool.
So that looks like a sampler pack of our 12 weight cotton petites thread. So this is the thread that we really recommend for hand sewing, big stitch quilting, but you can also use it in your sewing machine as long as you have a large enough needle.
That's really
So
cool. What size needle would you use with it?
I recommend a size 100 needle, 116. That way, the needle eye is large enough to accommodate the thread thickness and, lengthen your stitch if you're using it on the machine as well to maybe a 3.5 even.
Okay.
For decorative applications, obviously, you're not going to be, constructing something with this type of thread. But for handwork, it's really great because it comes on a spool, so you don't have to deal with, skeins that, you have to separate the strands and then you inevitably get a knot that you have to cut out and throw away once you get super frustrated with untangling it. And actually, this is a snap spool. So if you pop up either end really gingerly just kind of, yep, wiggle it through your fingers.
Here, you try that one.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter which end?
Nope, both ends will do it.
Oh, I feel it coming
And
off.
then you can store the thread end in that little snap spool and just snap it shut.
That's so cool.
Oh, so that's how they want. Yes, right.
So that's how you want to store it so that it doesn't unravel or,
That's
get
really cool.
lost or get tangled. So that's, the first thing about it is it's neat and tidy, and you can use it on the sewing machine. And the second thing, or the third thing, I guess, is that one strand of this equals 2 strands of your traditional embroidery floss. So you get really great coverage with just one strand. You can do satin stitches and all kinds of fill stitches, and get great coverage without having to deal with multiple strands. And, conversely, if you want to use 4 strands of it, your satin stitch is going to go by really quickly. You're going to get, a lot of filled in areas in a shorter amount of time.
Cool.
So I may have sent you also a blendables version.
Is it this?
Yeah, so blendables, you probably have heard the term variegated. A lot of people talk about this thread as being variegated, but it's actually called blendables for a reason, and that is that it's randomly dyed every 2.5 to 5 inches across the thread length. So you don't get these
Oh,
distinctive
yeah.
repeating patterns of
Uh-huh.
color that
Yep.
you normally get with variegated thread.
Yeah.
So
We
if you
just-
are filling in an area, it's going to look almost like a watercolor effect instead of like chunks of
Ooh.
color. So that's a really cool thread as well.
So
And
we
that
just
comes, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say we just finished up our month of embroidery bingo, and we included a variegated thread, and I noticed that because I did a long like a long section of one stitch, and I was like, oh yep, you can just see the pattern as it goes along, which some people might want that, but this is nice to have that option if you don't want that.
Yeah, no other thread is like this as
Yeah,
well.
that's very cool.
And it comes in our 12 weight variety, which you have here. And then we also have a little bit thinner weight in our 30 weight variety.
That's gorgeous.
Yeah, it really is. I love these poppable ends.
It's so handy.
It's so
I love that
handy.
it's on both sides. Like they really thought it through that,
Yeah.
depending on where you end and cut it, you don't want to have to like try to get it back to this one side. So that's
Yeah.
really very thoughtful.
I was just writing a blog post on making embroidery easier. And one of the things that I was talking about was how important it is to make all your all your tools and supplies really accessible and easy to get to, because otherwise you're not going to want to do it. So I feel like this is such a great way of like, oh, I don't have to search for the end. I don't have to untangle it. I don't have to try to figure out which end to pull the thread from.
Yeah, and you're also getting 50 yards of thread on these spools.
Yeah.
So you do get a lot more thread,
Yeah.
more bang for your buck, really.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. And do these come in a variety of colors? I mean,
Oh,
obviously
yes.
they do. Yeah, there's tons of colors.
Yes.
But there are colors beyond these colors as well.
Oh, yes. I mean,
I can tell this one is probably going to be one of my favorites. This
Oh,
looks
yeah.
just like that other one that,
Beautiful.
yeah, but oh, so pretty.
And this too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you can't really see it, but man.
yeah,
that's
I want to say there's like 180 solids and something like 60 something blendables.
Oh, great.
I'm sorry, I don't have the exact number off the top of my head, but
That's okay. A lot. There's a lot.
yes. So this is our, what I would consider to be our all-purpose thread.
Mm-hmm.
I really hate that term because I think there is really no true all-purpose thread out there. But a lot of people identify with this term, so
Yeah.
I'll use it in very select few ways. But this is our 50 weight cotton thread, and it is very high quality, 100% Egyptian cotton, long staple thread, so little to no breaking points.
Mm.
Also comes on this snap spool,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just really, really great for piecing things, for applique that is almost indetectable where you've attached it, for construction, that type of thing. So I thought you would enjoy playing with that. That's a neutrals assortment.
Yeah, that's
So,
perfect.
it's gonna kind of match with a lot of
Yep.
fabrics that you would choose.
I was just working with a sewing student last week and the week before on she did her first quilting project and we just did a simple patchwork. She wanted to make her mom a bag and she had a bunch of different small pieces of fabric, so we just used those. And so this neutrals pack would have been perfect for that because it was a variety of different colors. So it was nice to have just that neutral color that can kind of go with everything.
Yeah, and if you've ever done patchwork like that, and after you press your finished pieces, whether you press it open or to one side,
Yep.
if you ever have that telltale bump of where the stitches are, that is a good sign that the thread that you're using is too heavyweight for your fabrics and your technique. So this 50 weight cotton, it really almost like blends in
That's right in, yeah.
to the fabrics. It's really nice especially for piecing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
cool. Great.
This,
I have been collecting scraps for years and we both really like using up scraps, and I would like to make one of those postage stamp patchwork quilts where it's just like the tiny little pieces. So I think this would be really good because those are so tiny. You really need to use something that's lightweight but strong.
yeah, and with all those intersecting
Yeah.
corners that you're going to have
Uh-huh.
for sure.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Cool.
Lots
Ooh,
of good
I'm gonna go
stuff.
make stuff now.
I know.
I'll be back.
I think this is just another assortment pack of the Petites thread. It's, I believe, our rainbow assortment. So
Yeah.
Cool.
yeah, they
Yeah,
look
we're gonna
very
have so much
similar.
fun.
Bright colors. This is another assortment of colors of the same type, right?
Yes.
The 12 weight.
Yeah, you had mentioned like a lighthouse design with some like sun and sea elements. So I was trying to give you kind of an
Yeah.
assortment that would maybe work with that.
Yeah.
Great. That's gonna be great. Yeah.
Nice.
Ooh. This is something different, I think, huh?
Are those the Filane
It
Petites?
is, yes.
Okay.
Acrylic
So
filling.
Filane is also a 12 weight thread, but it is 100% acrylic. So whereas the Petites are all cotton, or the ones you were just looking at, this is our acrylic thread that can create really cool special effects in your designs. We also use this for machine embroidery accents, but you have to be really careful with machine embroidery and heavyweight threads. You have to make sure that those designs are actually digitized for the heavier weight thread.
Ah.
But whether you're using it for handwork or machine embroidery, it is a really strong thread in the center, but then it has wisps along the outside of these acrylic fibers that if you do a fill stitch, you can brush out those fibers using a wire brush. And I hope that you have your wire brush in there. It looks like this. It says Filane right on it.
Oh, let's see.
It's this gold bristled brush that hopefully I sent you. If not, I will get one to you. But when you use this wire brush, it fluffs up the fibers to mimic faux fur. So
That's
I have a
really
sample
cool.
right here of this little spider that is done in the thread.
Oh, how
And after it's brushed up, you can almost not even see the differentiation of your different stitches anymore. It just becomes this furry, little spider guy. So you can do really, really fun things with that thread as well. I've also even used it in a long arm quilting machine to create big stitch quilting, but by machine. And it has almost like a yarn-like effect after you use it. So it kind of gives it a vintage quality to your quilts.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, it's a really, really neat thread.
That's interesting that it fluffs up because when you look at it unfluffed, it's pretty smooth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
you
can
can
see
kind
it
of
has.
run your fingernail across it and almost get a feel for, like the individual strand.
Mm-hmm.
That's
But
cool.
yeah,
When you look at it,
Yeah,
like you do see the
you can
fuzz.
see the fuzz. Oh, that's really cool. Ooh, I'm excited about this
Yeah.
one. I think we really love to add dimension
Texture.
and texture to all of our projects. Every single project that we ever make has something special about it, like something three-dimensional or sparkly or something. So this will
Yeah.
be a really nice thing to
Yeah.
play with. Yeah.
I
yeah,
definitely
that one comes in a
sculpture,
ton
so
of different colors as well.
look at choose the colorways.
We
Yeah.
do we have a bunch of designs like, gnome beards or Santa beards. So you'll do the rest in cotton. Start your design out with whatever you want to brush out so that you don't accidentally nick anything else with your brush, get it all fluffed out, then finish the rest of your design.
Good advice.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's a great tip.
Cool.
Okay.
Yes, more thread. These are, I think, some metallics
Ooh,
and
I just said
some
shiny.
surprises.
Ooh.
Oh, look at that.
You had mentioned that when we talked the other day. I am very glad to see that in there.
That is exciting.
Yeah, so Sulky has four different kinds of metallic threads. And I think I gave you a poly sparkle thread.
Is that
Which might be that blue one.
this one?
Um,
It's very glittery, right?
does it say on there what it is?
Oops, sorry.
Or have a
Yes,
number on it?
sparkle.
Poly sparkle, okay.
Mhm.
So poly sparkle is the easiest metallic thread to sew in your machine. You can also add a strand of poly sparkle to a strand of the 12 weight petites for handwork. Or of course you can just sew it, use 2 strands of it to equal 1 strand of the 12 weight. It's a 30 weight polyester thread that just has flecks of metallic running through it. So it glides through your needle really easily.
Yeah.
Whereas this other metallic thread that you have, which is our hollow shimmer, I believe, that is a flat ribbon-like metallic thread. It's a little more challenging, or really a lot more challenging to sew on your sewing machine. But you can create really cool holographic effects if you have little, mirrors or stars or something like this that you want to add to
Or like a
your,
lake or something.
yeah, reflection. Well, actually, and that one I added as well. We'll get to that momentarily, but this one in your left hand is glowy. So Sulky also has a line of glow in the dark thread.
Oh,
And I just gave you the boring white, but there's also pink, yellow, purple, orange, green, blue.
Oh, that's so fun.
And
it's not boring.
I was
It's so
just gonna say,
versatile.
what do you mean it's not boring?
Yeah, I love
they
it.
all glow in the dark, the same, yellow
Yeah.
glowy hue.
Yeah.
But you can get some different
That's
effects.
fun.
I've used those for Halloween costumes and
Mhm.
they do need to be charged by the light.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the longer you put it, in a lit room, the better it's going to look.
That's really cool.
It makes me want to run into the closet with it in the dark.
I'm putting it under my light right here.
No, it's great. That'll be fun.
Yeah, and
Oh,
this,
yes, I
can you see it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can even kind
There
of
you go.
Yep.
see it.
Yep. Yep.
Ooh, that's gonna be exciting. Oh, so many goodies.
Yeah,
Okay.
this one, I've never seen anything like it either. This is our reflective thread. So you were talking about lakes
Yeah.
or things like that. It's called CRY, C-R-Y. It stands for coated reflective yarn.
Ah.
And it's actually coated in little tiny glass beads that make it reflective.
What?
Yes, and it's similar in weight to our 30 weight. So you need to use like a 90 needle in your sewing machine. or
Yeah.
of course you can also use it for handwork,
Yeah.
couple, 2, 3 strands of it. And, when light hits it, it's going to reflect and glow.
That's really cool.
It has a much more
Mm.
silvery white glow than, of course, the glowy has the yellowish glow in
Yeah.
the dark glow.
Yeah.
But it is really neat. I did an entire Halloween like door hanger with a Darth Vader design and all this. And
Wow.
I did all the sort of mask, I don't know, dimension using the cry thread.
Mhm.
And it was so neat when the cars would go by. It's
Wow,
like,
yeah.
whoa, there's Darth Vader's head on the door.
That's really cool. Oh,
Yeah, so I thought you
Open
could
the
have
light
fun with
with it.
that in various applications.
wow. Oh, we're gonna have a ton of
So
fun.
fun.
Bonnie's in heaven.
The gears are turning.
There's smoke coming out of her ears.
I'm not on camera, but yes. I'm excited.
Yeah, and I just included just a few different needle types and sizes that correspond with the threads that I included if you
Yeah.
are going to be using them in the sewing machine.
Yeah, that's
So
fantastic.
yeah, Sulky I guess, I don't know, is the North American distributor for these types of organ needles that come in these packages.
Mhm.
So to use them, you'll slide down the little plastic sleeve. Don't remove it or cut it off, just slide it down. And then you can fold the needle pack in half.
Oh, like this.
Yep. And grab one of the needles. So you'll also notice inside, it's like a corrugated cardboard inside.
Oh,
So
yes.
if you swap out to like a larger top stitch needle for one of those metallic threads or the cry thread or what have you, and you haven't, used it up all the way, you can just put it a couple of slots over, and then you know that that's the needle that you can go back to
Yeah.
until you've used
Cool.
all of its needle glory. And so I always hate that about other needle packages is it just goes in this little plastic thing
Yeah.
and then you can't remember
Yeah. What's what?
what's what exactly.
Yeah,
So
I love that.
Yeah. And
I
has
always
it.
like to remind people, don't cut off that plastic, just slide it down because then you
Yeah.
can keep it nice and tidy and
Yeah. I love
together.
that. I love that. Another way to make your
Organization. Yeah.
help you.
So
Yeah.
clever.
Uh-huh.
And I just love that it uses the packaging
Yes.
for that. It's not like
Yes.
another thing that you need to
Yes.
get. It just comes
Yes.
this way.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really want to try these in my machine. I
Mhm.
can't believe you can use this in the machine.
The metallic
The
threads.
yeah.
Oh,
I
yes.
want to go sew right now.
Hold on, we're not done yet.
You really want to slow down your machine, especially with that
Yeah.
hollow shimmer one.
Okay.
You need to slow down your machine way down. And the
Okay.
interesting thing about these flat metallic threads, so I have a hollow shimmer right here,
Mhm.
is that you need to pay attention to the orientation of the thread spool when it's on your machine.
Okay.
Because what's happening, a lot of people struggle with metallic thread because it likes to break.
Mhm.
And why it's breaking has nothing to do with the quality of the thread. Sulky would like to be the first to let you know that their thread is of the utmost quality. It has to do with the tension that's building up when your thread is coming off of the spool and twisting. See all these twists
Mhm.
that's happening? So this is going to happen whether you have a vertical spool pin or a horizontal spool pin. It's still coming off with all of these twists.
Mhm.
So when you're sewing at high speed, all these twists are going to build up and all of a sudden it's going to snap.
That makes sense.
And you're like, why is the thread still breaking? Why does this keep happening? So what we recommend is actually an adapter. It's called a thread director.
Mhm.
And we do sell them on the Sulky site. You might find them elsewhere. They're in a couple of independent quilt shops and places like this. But it's a little plastic adapter. I think normally I have mine real handy close by. So it looks like this. It's
Mm.
kind of bizarre. And it either sits into your vertical spool pin or onto your bobbin winder, depending
Mm.
on what you have on your machine. But instead of your horizontal thread coming off like this towards your needle eye, you're going to put it on like this so that when the thread winds off, it's winding out flat and
Oh, look at
straight
that.
towards the needle with no
Yeah,
twists.
that's cool.
Yeah.
So you still want to slow your machine speed just for the simple fact that this is metallic. There's a lot of
Mhm.
friction that happens. It also actually heats up the needle when you're using it. That's why you want to sew at slower speeds too,
Ah,
to just
yeah,
reduce any of that
right. The
happening.
friction. Yeah.
But yeah, this is a
Huh.
really unique product. Very smart person manufactured this,
Yeah.
and um, Sulky goes through a lot of them because of all of our unique specialty
Yeah.
threads.
Mm.
Just makes it so much easier to sew with them. A lot of people have, external thread guides and things like that, but in almost all, I mean, I have a built-in thread
Yeah,
guide
mine has that.
right
Yeah.
here,
Uh-huh.
but no matter how it's going up here,
It's
it's still
still
twisting and
coming off
turning on
that.
its way to that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So this is a really handy little
So
tool.
even would you bypass the thread guide thing then? Like if you have one of those on your machine, you just use that instead of the
Yes.
guide? Ah,
Yep.
okay. Cool.
And sometimes people use it for even a 40 weight rayon thread
Yeah.
that they're using for machine
Ah,
embroidery.
ah.
If they're going to be sewing at super high speeds, they
Mhm.
just find that, hey,
Yeah.
why not use it for that
Why
as
not?
well?
Yeah, that makes sense. Ah, I didn't even know that
Yeah.
existed. I love
Yeah.
how much there is to learn.
Yes.
So cool.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
All
Cool. All right.
right. So I see a lovely hoop in here.
Yes. So Sulky also makes these high quality wooden embroidery hoops. And you can feel along it. It doesn't have any of the brittle wood, and it really keeps its shape nicely. I
Mhm.
find one of the pitfalls, especially with beginner embroiderers, is they just grab a hoop that's on the wall at the craft store. They all look the same. I mean, they even look like this.
Yeah.
But upon closer examination, when you're actually hooping anything substantial, which really is more than one layer of fabric or maybe a layer of fabric with your stick and stitch pattern on it, the hoop can warp out of shape, especially if you are unhooping and rehooping a lot throughout your design. And it can really affect the finished product. So I really recommend these hoops.
Cool.
It was the same thing. I didn't even know a better hoop existed. I have
Mhm.
used plastic hoops, those brittle ones that seem to give you splinters when you're working with them.
Mhm.
Yes.
But I really find these wooden ones to be far superior. And they come in 3 different sizes also. I think I gave you the 6-inch size. We also have an 8-inch and a 10-inch size too.
Great.
Yeah. The 6-inch size is pretty good for us because we do tend to like to work small. So this would be great. Yeah. So
Yeah, it's beautiful.
it's got a nice smooth finish to it and
Mhm.
really sturdy hardware.
Yeah, and you were talking about like maybe using them to display
Yeah,
things,
it's nice to.
painting them, spray
Yeah.
painting them, things like that. I
Mhm.
don't see any reason why you couldn't do that with these if you wanted to.
Mhm.
Yeah,
They are a
beautiful.
nice color wood though.
Yeah, they are.
Mhm.
Mhm. Cool.
So now we've got some other fun, some stabilizers, it looks like, right?
Yeah, we had talked briefly about just some unique products that Sulky has, and this is one of them, Stitch and Seal. It's
Mhm.
actually technically a stabilizer, but it's applied after your design is completed. So what Stitch and Seal does is if you are stitching on something that's waterproof or water resistant, like a lunch bag or a backpack or even a raincoat. After your stitching is done and you've put all of these needle holes into your waterproof fabric, you can fuse this to the wrong side and it does two things. It seals up those needle holes, retaining the waterproof properties of your fabric, but it also kind of secures all of the back of your stitching. So, you know, you can put it into a pocket or something like this that is getting a lot of use, and it'll protect those stitches and make sure they don't, you know, get pulled out or snagged. So it's a really unique thing. I've never seen it on the market other than at Sulky.
Yeah, that's really cool.
You just have to make sure the back side of whatever you're fusing it onto can withstand the heat of an iron, because a lot of waterproof fabrics, they will have, you know, the waterproofing on the back side. So you can use a press cloth as well and do a little test iron on a little corner, just to make sure that your fabric isn't going to be permanently damaged by the fusing, but you really don't need a very hot iron for it to, for the adhesive to kind of react.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's saying about around the wool setting on most irons.
Yeah,
here,
so
so
it's not hot.
super hot.
Yeah. Great.
Cool. To think about where we could use that.
Well, you've done a lot of stitching on lunch bags.
Oh yeah,
here and there.
I did.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Ooh.
And Tender Touch is similar to Stitch and Seal in that it is added after the embroidery is complete, but it is a very, very lightweight, silky to the feel type of stabilizer. So it's really great for things like t-shirts. If you add a lot of stitching to a t-shirt, especially those like metallic fibers that can be kind of scratchy, you can fuse this to the backside of that, and then it's going to be nice and soft against your skin. You will notice this in a lot of ready-to-wear clothing. If you look on, you know, a Columbia sweatshirt that has embroidery, whatnot, it has that Tender Touch on it.
Yeah.
You can also use it to stabilize things like t-shirt quilts or lightweight fabrics when you need to, let's say you're using a really lightweight fabric, but you want to put a really heavy stitch fill or heavy stitch design on it. You can sort of fuse that to the fabric to add a sort of thread count to it.
Yeah, right.
And then it still is nice and silky and soft and lightweight, but you have more fibers for your needle and thread to like grasp onto.
Yeah. So is this something that you could add either before or after you do the stitching, depending on the project?
Yes, for sure.
Cool. Yeah, I've seen this on the back of like kids, the t-shirts that have the
machine embroidered t-shirts.
Yeah, onesies.
Yeah.
It's on every embroidered onesie you'll ever see.
Oh, it's nice.
Protect the little baby skin.
That's right.
Yeah. And even then, some babies are so sensitive, they can't even do that. That's sad.
Yeah, I should say too, when you're using both of those products, you want to cut them out using pinking shears or a wavy rotary blade or something like this. It just helps the longevity of it. So we just find it has longer lasting properties when you're washing it a lot, wearing it a lot.
Well, that's such a good tip.
So it sticks better when you pink it. The edges just seem to hold better.
Yeah, precisely.
Cool.
Good to know.
And Perfect Applique is our fusible web. I think you will love working with it for appliques, whether you're doing hand applique or machine applique. It is so incredibly lightweight that sometimes I have to get a magnifying glass or get really close to the light and be like, did I fuse this?
Did I put it on there?
Yeah. But it's still really strong and provides a permanent bond. So it's really good stuff. It doesn't change the hand again of your fabrics that you are fusing.
Yeah.
And I think you'll really like working with that too.
I haven't in a while, but I used to make a lot of baby hats with applique on like right here. And I can't remember what I used, but I remember thinking that whatever I'm using is definitely too heavy for this. I wish that it was like this,
Lighter weight.
like you just don't know it's there.
Yeah, and sometimes there's designs that have these layered applique pieces, you know, like a
right.
landscape scene or something.
Mhm.
Right.
And all of a sudden you got 3 and 4 layers of this, you know, fusing these layers,
Yeah.
and you have this bulletproof, you know, wall hanging or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this makes it a little bit nicer.
This would be so great for our holiday
hoop
hoop. We do a holiday class every year, and so we could send this to people, and they could do it
Yeah,
if they wanted to learn how
right,
to.
right.
We could send a small piece
When
of
we've
them.
done the fabric collage before,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. We really love that fabric collage applique look. It's so fun to add stitching to it.
Well, we
This
know
is our
it.
stick and stitch. You're very familiar with this.
Yep.
This is our printable water soluble stabilizer / transfer sheet. So it does multiple things. Stabilizes your fabric for embroidery. So oftentimes you don't even need to hoop it. If you like to stitch in hand,
Oh, yeah.
it makes it nice and flat and stable. You can even add a second piece to the back side and kind of stitch through all layers. If you do like to stitch in hand, have your printed sheet on top and just a plain sheet on the bottom.
Yeah.
And they're both going to wash away when your embroidery is complete. So this is suitable for any home printer, laser, inkjet. You want to set your printer to the lowest ink setting because there's really just no need to saturate the product. And you'll get a nicer, thinner line to follow anyways. As long as you can see it, that's all you need. And you can print any design you like. Clip art, make your own designs, print out other people's patterns. You can even do stamped cross stitch with these. So if you want to do cross stitch on a different fabric that's not Aida cloth,
Yeah.
or you want to do cross stitch, but you're like me and you don't have patience to actually count,
Yeah, that's me too.
or you're scared you're going to get off count, which is also,
Yes.
you can actually print the cross stitch chart on here,
Yeah.
stick it to the right side of your fabric,
Yeah.
make all of your X's, and
Yeah, that's such a good
wash
idea.
it away. So
Love it.
I hadn't thought about the ink setting. Do you do
Yeah, I
that?
always put it on
You
the
do?
lowest. Yeah.
She's in charge of all our printing, so
Yeah.
I don't usually
Yeah.
get involved in that part. But yeah, that's a good tip too.
yeah,
Cool.
if you can, some people say they don't have that type of setting.
Yeah. You
And
know what?
I have a
Mine,
little
yeah.
sample of it just so you can see a little heart design that after you print it out, you'll just cut around, leave yourself a little bit of a border, and then you can just stitch through all the layers. You're creating a design transfer sticker.
Yeah. It's
So
so great.
Yeah, I think that's one of the top issues with embroiderists or embroidery artists. They hate transferring the pattern, right?
Yeah,
It's just like
it can,
time consuming.
yeah. Or they might do it, but it might be one of those barriers that keeps them from being able to just jump in. So I love, yeah, that's why we really like this product. Yeah.
And so they'll often buy the pre-printed fabric, but then if they haven't stitched precisely over the lines, it's still going to show up. So with this, at least, it just washes away. So it's perfect. It's a good compromise to that.
exactly. And a good tip is when you are washing it away, you want to wash the product under, like I like to use my kitchen sprayer, something that has better water pressure, to just kind of spray it away from your fabric and just keep the water moving rather than letting it sit. Because what can happen is, especially if you didn't print it on the draft setting, what can happen is if you let it sit, the product will kind of release from the fabric and it can migrate to another area of the fabric and stick to it. If it sticks to it upside down, it can transfer that ink to a different part of your
That makes
fabric.
sense. Yeah.
Then you have to deal with some spot remover and try to get it out. So another thing to think of. Also, if you are doing embroidery with a super saturated color, which is going to be our dark, dark, deep reds and our dark black and dark navies, you can think about it just as if you got a brand new red shirt at the store, you're not going to be washing it with all of your white t-shirts.
Yeah.
No matter how many cycles of rinsing and all of that from the dye manufacturing plant, you know, no matter how much goes on, there's still going to be some leftover. And it's happened to me, it's happened to, you know, countless others where they let their red thread soak with the stick and stitch, and the red dye will come off on the product and migrate somewhere else.
Yeah.
That becomes really hard to recover from, especially if your fabric is white.
Yeah, right.
It can really put a damper on all of that handwork that you did. So be mindful of that, always washing it away, not letting it sit.
Don't let it hang around.
Is there a cold versus warm water? Like, does it matter which temperature your water is while you're rinsing it away?
I mean, when I'm rinsing away stick and stitch, I like to use a warmer water because it doesn't take as long. But you can still, especially if you're working with those super saturated colors, it's still going to wash away on cold. You just have to do it longer.
Yeah.
And I mean, longer is maybe a couple more minutes. We're not talking, you know, it happens really quickly.
Yeah.
In fact, you know, I was demoing stick and stitch on a stamped cross stitch piece. I was maybe 2/3 of the way done with this, and I had it at a demo table, and someone had a water bottle they were kind of talking with, and a little droplet fell off of, you know, condensation on the thing, fell off right onto my hooped cross stitch, and there went
It just dissolved away.
a nice hole in
yeah,
the pattern. I was like, thank you.
Thank
Coming
you.
by.
Thank you for that part.
Yeah.
So maybe don't stitch in the rain if you're using stitch and stitch.
We're at the beach.
Stick and stitch or at the beach. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't start crying.
Don't start
while
crying.
you're-
Oh yeah.
No stitching at
Not either.
funerals. Yeah.
Oh,
All right.
you
Well,
need
that's
to be
good
in a
advice.
watertight.
Yes.
I feel like we can use this watertight, the stitch and seal
There we go.
somehow in there to help.
put it over your head.
Exactly.
Ooh, what is this?
All right. So this is Sulky Felty. Felty is, so it comes in these assortment packs. I sent you a couple. I think I sent you the rainbow, and then maybe the neutral pack. So Felty is really similar in feel and thickness to a wool felt. But this felt is polyester. So you can use stick and stitch on it and it will rinse away. You can use fusibles on it like the Perfect Applique. It is totally machine washable. You can throw it in the dryer. And it's manufactured to accept a lot of needle penetrations and a lot of thread. So it won't buckle or pucker around your thread work, especially those heavy, you know, fill stitch areas. It just absorbs, really is the only way I can describe it, all of that thread. And I mean, I just used it for countless things. It works great for machine embroidery because of that pucker free, you know, aspect of it. But it's really nice stuff. You can hoop it and it doesn't get marred by the hooping process. There's no hoop burn. It's just really, really great stuff to work with.
Cool.
And how do you know if it works for needle felting as well?
You know, I haven't tried it.
We'll have
But
to.
I'm going to. Because I also would like to know. I would assume that it would, just because you can hammer it with needles.
Yeah.
So we'll give it a shot.
Cool.
Oh, super
It's
excited.
fairly new, so we're still you know, finding different new ways
Discovering all its properties. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So exciting. This is
Yeah,
awesome.
so now you have lots of things to play with and
Yeah, it's really exciting.
So many things to play with.
Uh-huh.
I love the rainbow color felty.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. This is so exciting. It's like Christmas
It is.
and Hanukkah and birthday and all the things all wrapped in one.
Look at these beautiful colors.
Yeah,
Oh, it's
yeah,
gonna
I've
be
created little stuffy ornaments and
that's what I was
little
just thinking.
gift tags and
Yeah.
anything where, you want to use like a no fray fabric, raw edge applique,
Mhm.
or even just the background for a really pretty embroidery that you're gonna just hang up.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Cool. We have some kids classes that are coming up that we're going to be teaching in a couple weeks and then again in the summer. And so I'm already thinking of all the things we
Oh,
can do
yeah.
that, especially the sort of frustration-free aspect of it. I think the kids that will
That it
work
doesn't
really
fray.
well with the
Mhm.
kids. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Cool.
also comes on the roll if you want just
Mm.
one color, you're going to be
Yeah.
doing a bunch of stuff in the same color or what
Yeah.
have you,
Yeah.
as well as those assortment packs. So,
Well, oh, that's great. Thank you so much. What you gonna do
sure.
first, Bonnie?
I don't know. Mine is going all over the place right. I almost want to just come up with a project that combines everything.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
Please share. I can't wait to see.
Yeah, for sure. We're gonna do that. This is gonna be great. I will, these things will be more Hannah's alley because she does more of the sewing, the machine sewing than I do. But definitely like the felty and the threads and the embroidery part, I'm gonna be very excited to jump right in. So yeah, really cool. Thank
Mhm.
you so much, Ellen.
Yeah,
Ooh, where's that coming
You're welcome.
it's okay. So we just wanted to ask a couple questions of you about you and Sulky. And I can't remember what they were. Oh, I remember one thing you were saying the other day was how Sulky really values their customers and their customer experience. And so I'm just wondering if you could talk a little bit about that because I remember really relating to a lot of what you were saying.
Sure. Yeah. Sulky is very passionate about educating the customer, making sure they have a great experience at the sewing machine. I mentioned it was really a company that came out of this need. Our founding um, couple, really, Fred and Joyce Drexler. Joyce was an artist and she wanted to create art at her sewing machine with thread. So really before machine embroidery was even available for home machines, she was thread painting
Mhm.
and, free motion style, creating art on quilts and quilty items. They had a sewing machine store for a number of years, and it was really always about educating the customer, giving them inspiration and making sure that they were having success. Um, you know, as you know, whenever you're learning something new, it's really hard to keep at it when you're not having any success or
Yeah.
when you can't complete something. I always say in an afternoon's time, you know, if you take on this huge quilt as your first project, the likelihood you're going to finish it is probably very slim. So, as you said, making things accessible, making it seem like I can do it, it's really the cornerstone of the Sulky business. Our education platform, it's called sewingonline.sulky.com. We have tons of classes there for all different, creative disciplines, sewing, quilting, garment sewing, home deck, handwork, cross stitch, you name it. And that really is the foundation of the business. You know, all of these things that come out of it, felty and perfect applique, are because, you know, we're teaching people and we need that tool. And we want to make it a little better or easier, or, you know, somehow fit that technique better than what we are able to find out there. So then it becomes part of the Sulky line. I just really appreciate that about them. And they're just, the company as a whole is the most, you know, sort of ethical and caring places I've ever associated with. They really, really care that their customer is happy at the end of the day. And same goes for all of their employees as well. So
That's great.
I can't say enough good things.
I love that.
What you just said is about what would make it easier. That's something we say all the time when we're together and we're working, is what would make this easier for us, for our customers, you know, our students, because it really does come down to that. That's what holds people back from growing, and is when there's that frustration, they just don't want to keep going. So whatever we can do to make it easier is what we can do to encourage them to have that creative practice.
My real job, my other job is I'm an executive function coach. So I help people with time management and organization, and pretty much everything that I do with my clients is helping them figure out how to make things that are difficult for them easier. And so everything that you were saying just really, really, really resonates with both of us, both from BonnaH Co perspective, and then also just from like how we live our lives, and then also like how I do my work. We really love that. And so we're really happy to learn about Sulky and to be introduced to their stuff, and go beyond our, you know, this really great product that we really love, and to learn so much more. So we hope everybody listening or watching can also experience that too.
Yeah.
Yes. A while back, a good friend in the industry said to me, "Life is hard. Sewing is easy."
Yeah.
And I was like, thank you for that. It really is. I mean, if sewing is getting you down, that's not the point of it. You know, it's supposed to be our escape. It's supposed to be empowering. It's supposed to, you know, build our confidence, not contribute to our depression and frustration.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
Yep.
yeah.
I really try to, whenever I work with people that are learning how to sew, and they go, "Oh no, whatever." And I'm always like, don't worry about it. It's just sewing. That's all it is. It's just sewing. Everything can be fixed. There's a solution for everything. It might turn out a little different than you expected, but you know, don't let it stress you out.
I'm just thinking about back in college or those late night sewing projects, and you went, like, I would cut something and I didn't realize the fabric was folded, so I cut where it was not supposed to be. That's different. Tricky to fix.
If you're in school and you have a mean teacher like she did, then that's different.
Mean, she was just very
particular.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad we are entering a time where sewing, quilting, being creative, it doesn't have to be perfect. Why did it ever need to be perfect in the beginning? Was it going in the Smithsonian? Probably not.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
if we were lucky, maybe, but the chances pretty slim that you're getting a scholarship from the quilt that you're making when you're 11.
Yeah.
So I don't really know why we needed everything to be so incredibly perfect. My motto is always just give it a shot. Doesn't need to be perfect. And, you know, when you go buy your Target t-shirt, turn it inside out and look at all those seams. Look at how crooked the neckline is. We don't seem to care when we buy something off the rack, but when we're making it, we put so much pressure on ourselves for it to be absolutely perfect. The reality is nobody is going to see that neckline unless you show it to them. So stop showing it to them. When they say, "Oh my gosh, you made that," don't say, "Yes, but look at this. You know, just say thank you and then say, "Would you like me to teach you how?"
Yeah.
Spread the love. Spread the love.
Spread the love.
That's right. Yeah, we really try so hard to spread that message as well. Like it's just nothing is perfect and it's okay. And just do it whatever way works for you, whatever way is the best for you. So yeah. Cool. Is there anything else? Oh yeah, what kind of role does, I mean, we talked a little bit about this, but what kind of role for you personally does being creative and sewing and crafting play in your life, like maybe with your self-care, or just what kind of role does it have in your life other than your job?
Oh man. I mean, it really is my whole life. I mean, I've just been in this sewing world. I mean, ever since I can remember. My grandmother was the seamstress in her town in South Dakota. And, the farmers would come and put their, overalls and shirts and socks to be mended on her front door. And she would turn them around so they could pick them up that night. And with her old treadle machine, I remember sitting on her lap, as she's, sewing. I mean, it's just always been there.
Part of you.
So as far as self-care, unfortunately, I'm sewing so much for my job that I don't really sew things that aren't going to be a part of the Sulky universe.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I have a really unique job where I can say, I really want to sew this for myself. I'm going to incorporate all of these things and learn a new technique myself so I can teach it.
Love it.
And
That's
I'm
the
still going to
best.
be able to make the thing I want to make.
That's very
So
cool.
I've kind of
It's the best.
married the two.
It's perfect.
And I
I
mean,
love
my
it.
whole basement is my studio here. So
That's really cool.
yeah, I don't think I'm answering that in a super great way, but
Yeah,
No, I
no.
love
the
this.
It's
idea.
great.
Yeah.
I love that you were able to take what you love and combine it with what you need to do to, to pay the bills, and you get to do both. That's really cool. I love it. Cool. Well,
Yes, I
thank
consider
you.
myself extremely lucky.
You
Extremely
are.
lucky to have found this
Yeah.
great place with Sulky, and
Yeah.
it's wonderful.
Oh,
Yeah.
we consider ourselves extremely lucky to have crossed paths with you and now to have all these wonderful things to play around with. And actually, well, where do we find Sulky products? Because actually, like when you were talking about the Sulky threads, originally, I normally find my threads at Joann's or Michael's. I don't think they carry Sulky threads. So where do we find your products?
So Sulky does have quite a few products at Joann's,
Hmm.
but they are really focused more on sewing machine embellishment, machine embroidery.
Okay.
So the
Why
line
we
of
Why we
40 weight
didn't see it.
rayon thread, which you're not going to use in handwork,
Okay.
that's all at
Right.
Joann.
Yeah.
Some of them might carry like the 30 weight blendables, depending on the displays that they have. They carry a select line of stabilizer. And actually, a lot of the Joann stores are a little bit different. So if their customers are requesting, hey, we use a stitch and seal all the time, please start carrying it, they might consider it based on a store, particular store.
We'll have to go in with
Well,
a
now we're
list.
gonna go and look for them. That will,
Yes,
We'll be like, excuse me, could you please carry these?
please do. Yes.
Okay.
They need to have more of it. And we're pitching stuff to them all the time as well.
Yeah.
It's, that's a whole different ball game.
Yeah, sure.
But you can find the entire line of Sulky, everything at sulky.com.
It's a nice
They didn't
website.
always sell directly to the consumer, but they have over the past maybe 6-7 years. So now you can get everything that you need right there at sulky.com. Some independent quilt retailers will sell some Sulky products as well, and a lot of online retailers as well. So, you might see a viral stick and stitch on a sweater or sweatshirt. I've been seeing those on Instagram
Yeah.
so much lately. And those people will bring in and create their own kits out of that type of thing. But for all of those petites, to get all of the entire color range, sulky.com is really your best bet.
Yeah. Cool. Great. You think of anything else? Any other questions?
No, I'm ready to
Yeah.
get
Like, can we just hang out now?
Yes, create something so we can share it out.
Yes, we will. Definitely. Be careful what you wish for.
No, I'm
deep
excited.
into mending right now.
We
We've
are
got
men
big
march.
men projects happening right now. So
It's Mend March.
Yeah.
So that's our, but you
but
know
we
what?
could use some
So
of these
like
do
fun
some-
visible mending type
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
like hemming pants.
Okay. Visible mender. I mean, yeah,
Good.
definitely visible.
Yeah.
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 Well, there were some that were not super visible. They were not as fun though, of course.
You know, I have a friend whose son's t-shirt, like the hem came undone. I'm like, oh, all right, I guess I'll fix that for you.
Wah.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen something cool on things like jean jackets or even kids sweatshirts. You know how the edge of your sweatshirt, it'll start getting little holes or start, but the sweatshirt's great. So they'll take the 12 weight cotton petites and just sew a little decorative kind of patches with them
Yeah.
to kind of cover that. Or on the edge of your like collar on a jacket or something, just stitching a bunch. I'm probably telling you nothing you don't already know,
It's okay.
but I'm seeing that pop out more and more. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We
it's
love
really
that
cool.
it is like getting more out there and more acceptable.
Show her your pants. She has these pants on that
Wait,
are
I have to figure out the best way.
here. I know.
Oh, cute. I can see.
Yeah.
Yes, I
And
love
my
that
knees.
look.
And her knees too.
Knees.
Yeah.
Neat. Love that.
Am I wearing anything mended? No.
Oh, you're wearing your lovely blinged out.
This like hand-me-down shirt from my aunt-in-law. It says Obama 2009. I have no idea what it means, but I like it. It's a nice sweatshirt. But I do have an undershirt on that I did fix the
hem.
but it was very boring.
With a boring,
Yeah. I just
An
used
invisible
zigzag,
men.
just a zigzag stitch. All right.
Well, that's the great thing about sewing. You can do boring stuff and you can
That's
do
right.
some really exciting, fun stuff
Yeah.
Mhm.
once you understand the concept.
Maybe I'll fix it with this next time.
Oh.
People will be like, whoa, you're coming.
Yeah, this goes through the wash well as well.
Is that the hollow shimmer?
Hollow shimmer,
You can wash it, sure.
Very
I've
exciting.
quilted with it. I've done machine embroidery, all kinds of stuff.
Nice.
Wouldn't it'd be so cool to have a quilt that just has like a subtle little bling to it. Oh,
There's actually hollow shimmer on the quilt behind me. It's really hard to see with the lights,
yeah.
but every single one of those petals was thread painted with this
Wow.
Cool.
hollow shimmer.
That's gorgeous.
Hard to see when you don't have,
Yeah.
the greatest close up of it.
Yeah, that's really cool. Nice. All right, Ellen, thank you so much. We promise you we will take really good care of all this stuff and have a lot of fun with it. And we'll tag Sulky in all of our posts and then connect you guys to all of our Instagram posts and our blog posts. So yeah, it'll be fun.
Great. I can't wait to see.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Thank you.